tackle on the recruitment first. We are not back end of Ofori Atta issue. No, yes. I think that there be a case oko might be a ma. Whenever you see young people in your Jumaya, threaten your national cohesion, threaten your integration, threaten even the prospects of your democracy.
Okay.
Because babununu near Jumaya and they become idle. Like actually said, the idle brain is the devil's workshop. Arab Spring AC or Tunisia, what was because of youth unemployment that people became so desperate. And see, buying uteki over. Your major priority should be addressing the youth unemployment situation. And so too, when you have a beer in the last 8 years, the mess you create and the Omai Sika Sebian Semuna EDD, and the fact is, baby, or mine in the Kakran or Cabranet Timikotanas and what forged documents, not a big go buying so binding. So a constraining the efforts and the economy, to be able to open various capacities at the Befanipa. And the President Mahama Baye, yes, the expectation is that job and opportunities as for available for young people and as for and I mean say one of the veritable avenues over the years and the used to ensure that we deal with this unemployment situation recruitment into various security agencies. But I mean say your maya yade ya hona everything being equal security agencies enye avenue yade kopɛ adwuma. It's not supposed to be because it is a sensitive agency. I require high level of expertise, certain knowledge, and then as for commitment is also key. And to go America and other places, and when it comes to security, then as for no man, a man for obekom no, not willingly no, or person or because only juma.
Okay.
Yeah, if we Africa corner sometime paper seminar as for into Kurumne we are not yet but call we no there. Normally people go in because they want to go in because of the high demands and what is involved. For instance, we are US, your friends a serviceman, upo to Iran, you can lose your life anytime. So a job were very risky. So ordinary and yeah avenue party for ne supporters because say per because security.
Okay.
So but other areas na nam say enye available. That is why you see some of these things. So when me who number no that now I was surprised a month were talking about the intake and then the number applying.
Okay.
I was shocked to see the number of people applying for some of these things.
No?
Yes. The staggering number exposes a certain harsh reality say youth unemployment is real and we need to do everything to tackle it. Because majority of the people going in, they were not applying because they want to be police officers. They want to don't know your desperation. And I don't know so yeah juma dada a teacher for can home a binum can home but free send the salary then as a for no yamano. So they are switching then as a for so this year they use a strategy at boy filter a lot of people out. So what fell forms on baby says juma ben away. And this a we a teacher ni na san o sign upload Ghana card. Now run it through the system now. Already you are part of the already employment way and automatically your friends are disqualified. I think that these are some of the ways that fast but watch with him. The entire dede muntaka and that woman for a can a certain cultural narrative we are building around recruitment.
Okay.
Make us say a man for Bojo Mahama ne your friend saying muntaka basu because this is the first time in so many years recruitment abaye public can say. In the last 8 years, I don't remember the last time I hear advert. My Ghana new cut off form. And my processes involved no by a nationwide discussion.
Apart from them said 2018, the
early wine, no?
Yes.
The
17 18.
Yes.
I know pen about one thing.
The Akanyina is sumasi mutin ya besin. So the transparency, the disclosures are quite clear. I will be who say a ton form. Ubetimi akwakotobi or apply go through the process. Yeah, the exams you go control no. Even though numbers in are there, but that tells you say a certain transparency has been added to the process. And again, the entire amount for a boom because my culture says certain cultural narrative has been created over the years, why buying bar when a William call and it has been a take it. Now we have MPP for Yabu who will be Aberwan senior to two, but not a police at the Wababon thing. Obi at the age wabroso. Now no review no more Obi or a diabetic, Obi a hypertensive. A whole lot of medical conditions, but they didn't pay attention to all these things. Or more than say we are recruiting. and we a party need ya so come and more piani guma for almost 8 good years. And the obviously NDC in North in China because they come from the same social environment. And who say MPP by any no. The expectation is that menso buy number menso metama so I was a Kobe. What I say, but if that particular expectation coming against a president, I also I make a promise. I am resetting. We need to break away from the usual norm now over the years. You recruit to party foot soldiers in as well. You best say your security, and it is true because in recent times, crowd control have a problem in this particular country. No, besides say training bank and the other your security guys now mobile because very often the first reaction are Ghana police officer and a military man. Obe offer in crowd control, say, oh, shoot you life bullet akunipa. And there has been sad examples, many that we can try. So a chance say Yababe drew a pointer, even though a man for a year, I'm a system not side there, but we cannot continue. And no end of my reset, any footholding in this particular narrative. Who said going forward, we need to restructure the system in such a way, say, yebeye na ya produce men or more ye deserving or more what it takes to handle situation and very complex situation like this. Na yanka say amam for ye bintinu say eba betwaso because over the years we have kwanya fast ye recruitment we ended up arming a lot of idiots with guns and then as a forum and SMC Okroma, you see how they are able to handle the situation. Obakaya, the last demonstration there cost for Jubilee House and as a for yet make Chekwabrane bono chain form ye two bieni nipa ye prepare mu Okroma and nyina kyerɛ the sort of training because nipa na ogina ho no una wohu ni so ye fancy police officer or shata de nimu no or ye party ni nti ohu say demonstration na wo ye no wo say na ban nti obabo Obabu atwe form.
I see.
And into the who Oliver na se for kwam for police for na se for boom. We so akoto key. Here brew nipa ni so na se for because who say we na time for na bind the so on my won far bind nim twitwi form. So I think say when it comes to some of these things there, is a very tough decision to take, but we need to agree say aban no ka say otoaso ayede na akufuado na dia then the things say cost 90 work. So some of these decisive bold decision must be taken and the president must also be commended. Say what na see who say the unemployment situation is genuine. Ghana for here Juma now within a short space now because of this challenge here by what may increase the number by almost 100%. For me, I think it was also help to alleviate this challenge because a lot of people are more qualified or more very deserving, and your opportunity to serve in the various security agencies, So the process is transparent. Ghana nibehu wako through when you have opportunity then as a foreigner. For me, I think that is the best that the government can do for now. Now, you sign to any other areas, you bet me created these opportunities, and I've always argued, there is nowhere in the world that government what the capacity to employ majority of the people. Government always or capacity are limited. And to Ghana, I have more government payroll so about you. We are less than 1 million. Omo go about payroll so less than 1 million. But Ghana for 34 million. And to say government the capacity in SA. So it means that you need to look at the private sector, energize them, provide them with all the tools. So I remember the private sector not imagine so no so it may absorb these people. Now again, there are people working, but and I'm so much attention young pain to companies in as who see a man for because some of the foreign companies but what they do is that they pay their workers through third parties. And the company is paying maybe at 3,000, but mediator no journey munu the actual person or 1,000 Ghana cedis. But and society mrabe monitor these things to be able to know that these people within your friends the approved payment rate in exactly. So it's any partner but sanka yatimia tenase ya follow up and making sure that some of these anomalies in the fraud na cost within the payment chain, you rectifier. You will have these people being taken away from the fold of unemployment chunk of people now. Not ya addressing na quiet. So I think it's a wake up call to all of us. Not going forward, Said the president is here and making commitment. We need to retool the security agencies as well. Over the years, Nancy over here. A soldier near police in our branch here waba bontain. Near Nakosi bullion vine, we are so unfassy can cock. Near the Gold Coast to 10 in the nice North front. okoduru baby am robber no kra side arm ono timi bie door esutu police ni because we police ni say we quick na say we bie door no kra sa atu tintin we si unan so da be na we dey ko he kromfo so akuno ba ono no be na okura sophisticated gun a chain they kura police ni no and accommodation has always been a problem. So I think say in as much as I can sansem we nyina no yem pay attention to details involving security na say for na you making sure say the sensitivity no will not be distorted because certain individuals want in by hook or crook. Na ya kase ya the open take it near the party folks na say for no ma we may end up ya nkasa ye be endanger ya nkasa your life because nipa na wudi to man no one ya careful na uko ame a fool with a gun. My catcher say obe present danger not only to himself but to everybody, and it's the reason why we need to commend this particular bold decision bringing a lot of people in a betimi aboa amaya address the unemployment challenge na ewo kroma because it's a major way over the years and ya kan ho asem and the ya me ya ne say so what now her challenge and MPP for to omoni oguso omo kan dey as if say in the last 8 years now they were not in Ghana. These are the people who created the mess. It's the reason why the last time I was telling them say sikana na ye sink into those senseless enterprises like the National Cathedral and other way sa sikana ye di nyansade a ebianka ye ni ha ne. You created this mess and few years after, no, you expect Ghana to turn into maybe California, or it's not possible. You understand? It will take gradual process to build the foundation, or more wrecking, now I build it upon. And that is what the president, at this point in time, so the economy now. Clearly, the indicators or the statistics point to a positive direction. Is the reason why all the rating agencies in India say rating Ghana positive because the economy now say a footholding and the dollar rate I appreciate here and also no give you and investor confidence in Ghana's economy. Unlike the previous time, what I say, but the same jokers sitting on the sidelines or I say after they've created this mess. There is this conversation of Nippon Motia Sikana. Ya disqualify mono yen sign and refine almost no bisa almost abroad more ton forms no more to China and no more Cote d'Ivoire because some of us over the years have advocated say in here say obi because security we have ton form man ya Canada and because of political capital and and omo pretending to be a voice for the people but bisa say that by na MPP are by making directives say forms my ton and do you be a sabi something you are guilty of in the last 8 years, back at you be so refund this amount. I think they're going forward, we need to set the record straight. Now you're making sure say your priorities and going forward, ma obi aba security agencies ma sa form turner na se form no ye through na there are ways you betimi to control the number. There are specialty areas you betimi demand your first application. Now ye na sa na I think say be boa limited the numbers. And again, ye suku no so na amount for go wa the certificate ba. Which certificate won't mean I think we need to, infuse a certain vocational training be into. And by the time a nipa be free secondary school, but apart from the certificate, obetim de nsasia be biaka ho. So it become a double kind of something. But we are training people in art, we are training people in several humanity courses. At the end of the day, nipa no ba burden on the state, but other areas never nipa na ba self-employed, we pay least attention to. Look at the emerging space and technology, AI, Internet of Things. There are several other avenues. Pay attention to some of these things. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. School is supposed to be mastering people in art, in technology, and so forth. But then the humanities are jafa. And now law, all the humanities courses, students in the core science and the tech people in KNUST. I just say we are in danger as a country, you understand? So these are some of the things. Normally, we narrow the scope of the conversation not because of political expediency, or member standardize way, me accuse way, na yakoyedim. But the actual problem na end up pinning some of these occurrences, we pay least attention to. Adentro people call Kwame Nkrumah School of Science and Technology. Now we are expecting say he's equipped with all the technological stuff. No about catch us say or police and or soldier. And or no ankasa ntumi nye bibi man ho. What I say? I just say your model no we need to retool it and pay much attention to job available. Because you see China sat down. They realize their strength, look at their problems and then they've been able to turn things around because my culture say China na ye ɔman baako na ɔmo dɔɔso pa o wiase and India na ye the most populated country in the world. China toso two ene but the ɔmo ye ne so ɔmo transi hu so ɔmo wɔ numbers no then they decided to leverage the number, turn it into economic advantage. And now production is very high, because our numbers are not a bottle na or produce or a lot of people to buy more than America. What I say, and China has become a production hub apart from serving their own market, and then look at the cars that are coming to our space.
Yes.
All Chinese cars. Why? Because they've been able to produce for themselves and they are exporting and they are making money. And because they realized that there was a gap between school need a job available, then they decided to bridge the gap. The schools in the name for no job is it available here? That was the last time I catch us Obi from University of Ghana, Bank of Ghana, so or your friend is saying internship. Credit and koko. They will not bring the person close because the person needs knowledge the computer no manner or best say near. So there is a gap between academia and the job market. How do we bridge it in the long term? But very often your focus in a short term political dividend. I able to achieve within a short period. My culture said no nation and the way we are here. Atimia grow based on short-term interventions, and as for it must be long-term. You plan, and the nation will lead towards that, and that is the only way. So I think this is a major problem that we need to pay much attention to. Now you move on as a country. Now you create other avenues. President Mahama, that question in San Jumefe, or Caso Baby Obey. Okay. Because our infrastructure in 2016 to 2016 abra oko and the signature project in this country. And I think is something or they seen a news for instance, we open this particular channel here among ever security agencies, and there are other avenues engagement with private sector almost maximize more capacity. Now on my na been say by discipline and so no we working within our means. Na sikana over the years ya too good ya yam farm more papa okroma say no. You making sure that those monies, will be invested in other areas a bit young people. Anya jina bia jina. On the case of Ofori Atta, you see, it's very shameful. Saying the MPP ni betimi jina a radio so na TV so. What be bisa say obi can say obey ora and onya nye. Yeah. But the same person, any issue with the fact that Ofori Atta Johnny Aquacotina baby. Ofori Atta any ordinary person. The financial chain and the Akufo-Addo government, the person sitting at the top, the pinnacle of it, Ofori Atta, finance minister, every single payment transaction be a cost for my mubiano. Now I go through him. The ministry, everything. So he is a subject of interest.
But America for no money Sadiana.
Oh, when it comes to some of these things, they are very complicated. I'm a mention. You see, the last time now, man, for say, I didn't see America for bus or mobile fat among boys no my fraud and 10 times now no more. But when it comes to Ofori Atta, they are not sense or more to Mansano. You see, we signed a treaty somewhere around 1931 with your friends say America, UK for the sign on our behalf, and I hear twice. And when it comes to extradition, it come in twofold. Your friends say ordinary crimes like petty crimes, then a fraud. Your friends saying then as a forum, and I your friend is saying political, your friend saying cases, and now say your friend military crimes, military offenses, and political related offenses. These things are very delicate because sometimes my buying betting about when you I can watch hunt you. So they pay particular attention to these things. You need to prove beyond every reasonable doubt. It's not because of persecution. That is why you need to go through series of layers. And to be a political prisoner, and that's a political offender, to extradite that particular person, you need to prove beyond every reasonable doubt to say intention would they find upon a real. And it's not just America. The last time I catch you say a WikiLeaks, CEO no Julian Assange, or Cotton Ecuador, or more embassy na UK no. Or tell for how many years? America of all countries, very powerful, no, did all that they could until recently. And I think there's certain arrangement to be here as a So when it comes to this thing, they are very complex and complicated. And Onim is the reason why Wakofato no say man because Onim say back and forth no. A better take a number of years. Now my culture say it's a shame. Say Obi betimia aka obedi finance minister of Ghana. Now, no from accountability. I show the kind of people Akufo-Addo brought on board to come and serve this country. Obakaya, but now platform catch us say, who saw a finance minister? Oh no, and your finance minister.
NOD.
They want to be a human one friend or him. He can just mess up. I don't know the day. He doesn't want you to, and I say he doesn't want to account because I don't want to be mind what finanya akonya no odi. And one friend or and what anybody. So he doesn't feel so accountable to anybody. Even within the MPP crowd. He didn't respect anybody. This is a guy, he could just speak to anybody anyhow. It got to a time the MPP people wanted him out because of the mess he had created. What happened? All the people who led that particular crusade to have Ken Ofori Atta removed, no, all of them were booted out. Except few. They sponsored, making sure that 2 or more in their primaries. And show how powerful this particular guy is. And Ken Ofori Atta say, if there is any blame, I think it should be apportioned to him. And you see, this whole thing, I feel it's very embarrassing. The Ken Ofori Atta namu expose the kind of people they are, and Makaya Mamua Ombebuchire Ghana for. Enti, so we are Ghana near Maya. I am not sure, say people should be heartbroken because Ken Ofori Atta Nyamaya. Because as long as he stays, or no negunedimase. And expose who they are as people. And unfortunately for him, look at where he is today. The whole finance minister of Ghana, our nama Bible ne your friends cross at the Danukomu be Pope Wafasiye. And on the criminals and that detention center in America. Because to Donald Trump, people he's keeping at that particular places, I don't know, of more criminal aliens. That is his description. And that is the kind of people category Ken Ofori Atta is part. The whole finance minister. And you see, it's very embarrassing because Enka Bagana, Enka Ubenya, ye media yana ye kan wasem. But are you aware, sir, in his case, BBC is reporting, CNN is reporting, and all major platforms are talking about it. So it is the scope of his embarrassment and our selling out there. And there is this silly justification people are selling out there. Say, Oba, onya fair hearing. Mahama by one watches in Dakota prison.
Ofori
Akufo-Addo obu amamuo bone di esika kotu amana no. Ono kra na nam ho didida. Oko state functions. Oko bi na no independence we wan hu no. Wan ache no. Ba umia ne PDS na for wan so obi ache no. So you see, these are silly justifications because obia ni ho a oti krom ha aban beka se maban na abanti ma chechero ubeten ha so. Nobody, you need to go through the mill of prosecution. At the end of the day, if the person is proven guilty beyond every reasonable doubt, then you can take the person to prison. But when you're guilty, nothing stop him from coming because at this age, and then about Utima also copy citizenship for America at this time. When you know, say, when and now we are finance minister, you supervise over the worst economy in the history of this particular country through Ken Ofori Atta. Then a busi and forcing nam hono mo church or sebi and sem hunuba justifying why he shouldn't come. Or more than a t-shirt to call. I'm for say embarrassing. Do you know what this guy has done to people because of him? Sakama Pharmaceuticals, Papa Nuya, because of DDEP. And there are several people who lost their life because Ken Ofori Atta decided to borrow foolishly against all advice. In the end, you know what happened? He had to come back to the people who investment are why with their bank, the government will forcefully take it. And as a result, a lot of people died. Look at the people who were demonstrating. This is the embarrassment he brought on people. And you are sitting somewhere telling people, now if you have a sense of where, will you do that? There is no decency in our politics. And omujina parliament, na afenyo marking and co so no more kasa. I think they should tell them to do everything that they can to bring Ken Ofori Atta back. Because this is a guy on the engine of their government. And then baby, you have the infantry to up yourself in parliament and be talking what? Sanka Ghana is a serious country. And I'm telling you, sir, nobody will listen to any of these people talking because you see, there is no moral justification. We've gotten to a point politics is not just about talking kekeo. Credibility is key. Ghana for first and politics and Ghana for they understand politics, they understand the issue. So if you want to speak to them, if you want to criticize somebody, what credibility? Because you cannot be guilty of something just then because there is a political capital in something to harness, all of a sudden you turn around to do politics about it. So for me, I think that is a shame. This Ken Ofori Atta guy will continue to walk in the hall of shame as long as he stays where he is now. So we are Ghana near, don't be worried. As long as he stays, because the state is doing everything. The Attorney General, in collaboration with the Special Prosecutor, you know very well, sir. The process is BS or Muye Biano towards your friend is saying extradition be or my culture, the process is quite cumbersome. Yes, you prepare your indictment, you call the federal court in the United States of America, where Ofori Atta will have lawyers, the state will not bring lawyers. America will be your friend is saying now see it to me, yes, I name money we are. Now say we're able to prove our case. Then the State Department and the DOJ in America will make the determination as to whether Ofori Atta will come or not. By now, there is a double chance for us. The detention center, no one, so
yes,
is also in play. So we are just looking at it. But at this point in time, the government of Ghana has no control over the situation. So let us put in on that. And to say, Obi only moral obligation to come to this country. I can Ofori Atta and the MPP, the other jokers on social media seeking to rationalize this whole thing. For me, let us put that particular burden on them.
Okay.
To discharge it because he has to come. State, he's doing everything. Now, so when himself when you're born here,
that's what
what does I'm making say? So I think we need to get serious.
Okay. Yeah, Samba, Ivan Che Innocent, and I'm a youth activist, social commentator. Pampa so live from our studios Gold 90.5 FM. We are live on Rich FM 98.7 Wasin Fusu. Other platforms, so come on here, stations Marco 11. For sure, no. Live on Last Langs TV on Multi TV and now Facebook on Medica Canada. Information centers across board. One more effort. Minya Kwabanasa Pompe Prase is Ivan reading from a book because wow. On here book be on here book be now Ghana Agrotech Fair 2026. A theme no say transforming agribusiness through local innovation and technology. Jumadi ashasiye yes. Ene date ya hene 18th. Enra ene shasiye nyame eya domwa. Ochina 19th ena jumadi ebewie. Na we jumadi kesiya. Ministry of Trade, Agri-business and Industry in partnership with Ghana SM Bank. Wamo ede eba. Eti enei say the captains of the industry, women eba, industrial businesses, farmers, fishers, okay, then exporters. Vacho Dudwana eba Takrade Energy Estate, and then crying. Dominic Kwabenya. Fre 0244 54 4422. In Super Panso de and on Palm Hills, natural mineral water. One more darman one more. So asenena fi yede dwumadi no so atoa etikai na ehye ne so efa emame elhanum yanko honorable recruitment asem you obekam here because meaning say you are seeking to say on 2 occasions or 2 attempts now person lead Ascent South as a member of parliament you care about recruitment meaning say you to know say now can say that enclave no call central and Mabuno Hopper. Exactly. Osha processes are leading to this recruitment exercise. Man, the President Mahama can say a numbers in the door so you nafi other sectors no and shana you absorb the youth because Mabuno or man that exactly. Ujina here.
Oh, Nyamijana say no crowd say here say your secret services or mine on buying bon. Yet the Emranti name about Yanabe. Name one says be a Girano, Nina, so here a buying bonnia de Sicasem. Now here in Sweet Sicasema, ye Giranso, or my moi, and Yadia be to me at the Ahmadi Brapa Shaho. You go here include to say US near advanced countries now, or my budget in Quan for defense, the Yadi Kuma. Now, friends, we dear, say a high grandpa, and Tino. We are a castle almost expanding. Facilities are between the money and no pressure because in the ground pie it's not up to a standard
or from cry or from cranty.
Yes.
Omina bought the
supplies in Tino. Focus our straight of a war.
It is doing 12. It be a 12 goal a year 1228, 12 cities 28 a year pesos be a year 1240. and ade.
And I think some number I mean say you say Ukraine Russia war by NDC for the campaign and no more wins waba. Like sometimes you listen to the argument and the poverty of intellect in it, sometimes it's quite annoying. You see, answer na Ukraine Russia war the World Bank country director warning say the rate at which we were borrowing, we risk defaulting on our debt obligations. Anti-COVID by Sabakaya, sub-region Zambia, and the first country or default on its debt obligations. Second, Ghana.
China for guys who will take you over the airport.
Yes, because the kwacha at the time, which their currency was the worst performing currency. I got to a time and Ghana they were second. And it wasn't because Ukraine-Russia war and the best Ghana economy.
Okay.
Now, ya bobosiana be ye kenke party, a bobosia the state agencies, including your friends a Bank of Ghana, and your friends a Cocoa Board and Kasa, a bobosiama, economy no, abubu. The ratings were quite clear. And again, Ukraine-Russia war, no, the impact on Ghana no wasn't direct because over sub-region countries in North Africa like Morocco, Egypt, they trade a lot with either Ukraine or Russia. Ghana, your trade share with Ukraine and Russia. And I'm told that Neman is serious.
Yeah, serious.
And that it did not in any way affect your friend saying petrol, any of those kind of items.
Yeah.
By then, of course, our Strait of Hormuz issues now, about 90% of oil are countries like South Korea, Japan, even China, America na wakan and tokano. The oil is just 2%. And that is why Donald Trump said on daily basis, could release it over about 400 way into the market, sabaya or stabilize way.
Yeah.
So Siamanoka say oil is selling at the global way last 2 weeks. Now you're over $100 per barrel.
That's true.
You expect Senka by now. And Ghana year turn over there to 20 cities.
Yeah.
But Enam said we do the import everything in dollars. And then the currency has been stabilizing, the effect is minimal. Okay. And because your friends say when it comes to oil, Iran, your friends say major power. And some of the countries affected within the region, the Gulf countries, power, your friends say energy blocks in this country. Global prices and as for. And oil is one thing a price, determine. And determine. So whether you like it or not, whenever they mention your friends saying almost set the price now, it actually affect everybody, including even America. You go to America, diesels and for prices are high. What I say?
Yeah.
So you have that particular impact. But if you're able to manage your currency properly, at the end of the day, the impact will be mitigated. And I think that there is something that government will also have to pay attention to. Watch it. Some of the fuel stations, I shall say, you're holding.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to try and go.
They have it. And me call almost 2 filling stations. Almost the petrol.
Oh, some.
Oh, yes. 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 And I have my new report from other people. They are more petrol, but almost the petrol. And I think that this is something that government will have to pay much attention to. National security for it, yeah. Pay attention to because I deliberate. So when they are hoarding and oil no more can say price no cost and yeah, because it is not an actual shortage, a expected shortage. And amount for this at a price, because as we stand now, amount for oil, there is a free flow of it at airco. Yeah. And I'm told that Donald Trump is making provisions that the US Marine will be escorting your friend saying some of these we already know I'm 80% insurance. So what they will tank a cofaho and answer what they will ship cofaho. Now say will suffer any damage be 80% insurance.
Okay.
And there is enough motivation for people to go. So price that who know I expected shortage and amount for their price. It's not an actual thing. So Ghana impact or her. It's understandable because Sana affected by Ukraine-Russia war did not impact heavily on because how many countries and rely on Russian oil? Russia nankasa oil no use to do now from the Gulf Strait to Honey Freeba. Over the years, Iran and a man much of the fuel and Venezuela and Trump game now oil no chess game no play in China. China na all cut oil supply because the major suppliers over the years has been Venezuela. And the same Venezuela and some provide oil for Cuba. And Cuba has a Cuba that are in crisis. And from the past bear we no muda sumu. And the same thing, such as game in our play against China. Because the major producers of oil to China are Iran and Venezuela. And then he's trying to cut them off. Now person will move in terms of economy in as a form. Then we hear you need fuel. In as much as we say we are shifting from fossil, oh boy, we are then the oil economy will continue to dominate. So a chess game no more playing about what in China with the emotions about cancer my is a they are playing their own game. Is the reason why I've always advocated say Africa. And then all the major powers are regrouping. America is setting authority. And then the middle powers in so try to do better Europe and then almost trying to regrouping.
Africa's heading.
In terms of natural resources, we are the richest. In terms of human resources, land size, me say Ghana, Africa is 3 times larger than Europe. We have everything that is take to succeed. But I'm say yenni mentality say be ebuama development and as for we are still here. So I think that time has come for Africa. Now yes, we strategically say at the geopolitical arena, no countries are regrouping, asserting the authority and their interest. Yes, and you how situation like this, you better me take care of her because Ghana produces oil. One of the largest producing way, Nigeria.
Yeah.
And you refine you produce refine way. And will be affected by what is happening at the global stage. Even though to certain extent, but it will be limited. What I say over the years. Until combat in Amati say Obaye Tor or try to revive it. Tor was almost a collapsed entity. But government was behind a private firm.
And almost a collapse.
A collapse,
yes.
So from the scratch, the gentleman is building arm toes and then they have capacity to refine almost
28,000.
Yes. So yes. You see, so with time, who say because what people don't know is America for oil. What people don't know is America is the biggest producer of oil in the whole world. That is what people know. On the Saudi Arabia, distance done in terminal and the ketwa because they've added fracking. So you don't need to have a natural deposit. They are using fracking to add up to their way. And when it comes to oil, America is the leading producer of oil in the whole of the world. But because fracking, machines then as for my building over the years, who use oil now, and so they have to sell it and buy the light one a bit of power on my industries and so forth. And you no cause world problem and fano. And this obey Donald Trump and some can say, or say, if I challenge them about to be temporal and fano and to quano or to what you say, or by near my yama, what on the Tibo boom no, or you know, be a home. So I think that I see a shot in the air near my ye. Now you to ye near my ye produce oil, Nigeria for producing, we produce be. But there in Africa, you produce 8 million yamana ye. And they produce 60 to almost best 70% of the whole world cocoa. We are seeing Cote d'Ivoire. Watch it with ye.
Ethiopia.
Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. 60 to 70% of we have a worldwide cocoa production. Now, I didn't know to mean determine price. Now, Quabrani determine price mine because cocoa no corner so on. I just saw the young quantity. Wouldn't even find your share, I say, and you only determine how much the person is buying. But yet, you add the value to it or chrome higher, and I will turn one. Don't need to think you have the leverage and advantage to set your own price.
Silos in chroma, yeah, but if they are stored grains.
Now, your friend says, our cocoa marketing board, no. And we are no more the car, actually, on name of the Guabontia, Ocean and Akufado, because no more the 300 million Ghana cedis. And now, Cabranet, one of cocoa farmers, inside you almost say, I'm sorry because I buy 80. He said, there is no sense in this sort of propaganda because if I will do propaganda, I will do a propaganda that is reasonable within a context that will be justified to rational minds. But they think they are dealing with fools. But you see, by a bedroom be a Ghana for because at this point, the global your friends have market price of cocoa is available. Cote d'Ivoire could have maintained this particular price, but almost 50% and then almost 1,500. And the Ghana could have done the same thing, but the president has maintained say even though a swatted there, but I'm paying 90%. That is a plus. So how on earth would anybody go and do propaganda? Like I say, COVID bar crowd. Now your friends say yanti cocoa. So what has COVID got to do with cocoa? COVID no cocoa. Different. Like what is the relationship? Because these are different commodities. We need all market and everything all together. So I think it's a wake-up call to us as Africans. We cannot always sit down and impact how it's going to affect our economy. No, we need to make the move, making sure we build all the buffers. I know that things like this, but we will not rely on way. Then the panel also exploit situations like this. We need to bring them to book because some of the oil companies, the filling stations, almost as say hode. And you can check check some of the filling stations. That is what they are doing. Oil and Rami call baby woman now sorry baby be free about so we be or boy what I say. But nobody is checking them. So I think we need to be very proactive. Now you're making sure we take the bull by the horn. Now you can take your destiny because what in channel be determine destiny amawa or the interest will be paramount.
I know.
Yes, you think America will champion your interest? No, they won't. And Donald Trump will cry by cry there, which is what saying, what I say. And we need to take our destiny into our own hands. Near prioritize it near my here and can oil by in Nigeria. You collaborate. There is a refinery. Yanka say refine for our own usage.
No.
You will mitigate your friend said the impact our world market, and that is what countries do. But we need every blessed day we have to rely on import from outside. Any time there is a shift, it will affect you. You understand?
Osha so you two or you be or takra.
Innocent. Brakwaba.
Fraud ebeye the obeye no when you through honor human being, it doesn't matter whether the person is pope, they will click to their evil best and take advantage of the situation. So the C systems and structures are there to be able to say they are filters at any point in time. You go through various stages. For instance, my contract at their mobi, you say when a particular sum amount, you need to go through public procurement authority. The procurement authority will also have to study the documents in it near my way and either some approval and I say my approval. But in recent times, these structures are ideally as a year Jumano, most of it are by a rubber stamp. And the sort of effective way as I achieve you will not see it. And you know can be and abuano and a jinai and this obakaya Abra Obama Baha saying Assemble ko kachira and say
strong institutions,
not strong men. And it's true because structurally, when you have strong institutions, they're very effective. For instance, you have strong parliament, you have strong judiciary, you have the legislature, you have the court system. Independent and very robust. I know the day, Obia Juma, and to an former. You are scared, say, what do
you think Obama meant when he said strong? Because people misinterpret it. I don't think people got what he really meant. Because Ebinum Soka said, no, you need strong men because they're strong men and they make you strong institutions. What did he mean by the structure or how we form them? You talked about the independence
of various institutions. You can institutions and as a form so when human beings begin to guide these institutions with conviction and absolute within the legal prescription, Adiana and Shana Dosiam Fanyano, Nipa Dasani Bedi Nimu Amayaye. So in as much as he's saying, strong institution, the strong institution can only be interfaced by strong men with strong conviction. And
a strong men with strong conviction, they don't drop from.
No.
They are made here.
Yes, they are made here.
So and what makes them?
What makes that particular person for instance, Nipano I find in a particular place. The person is not influenced by monetary or personal gains. The person, allegiance is strictly to the state and to ensure, the interest of the state at any point in time will be safeguarded and protected. And because but he's looking at the generational gains and the sort of dividends the personal interest. But who had the structure na many of the people who very often get opportunity, don't get there because of merit. And I say, because ebi nipa ne deserve. They are there because of certain alliances, affiliation, and the sort of relationship be or with maybe the power that be. So it is on that basis, and you did to me in a manipa. Nasa madam for na yawo. Nasa you are not appointing me on the basis of merit, but because you think so, madam for na ya event, I mean for way mana meba. My allegiance will not be to serve the people, but it be to you because I know the day you called me on because me a wadamfo. What are some American? So the sort of conviction, the sort of mental preparedness or expected from Nippon or the Bayer Jumana is not there because or no, he doesn't see that he's serving a nation. He is there because he's serving a friend who has brought him on board. Okay.
It's like Lee Kuan Yew.
Okay.
Or say me build it third world. What I mean free third world. Abba, a friend saying
First world model.
Na the me and say me ni bibia ana me kro no ankasa kasa no kra no and she da ni kroma e kro fufuro bi mu fo ne abo mo no nti no de e ne say me use the say a friend superior intelligence. What to them chena say nti wo adwuma no a me fa se bra be no me ma ho aka de me ma wo kotuapa ya adwuma no na ma me results o e pa pe me fa ho nchew. What to them chena. So there was some level of intentionality backed by conviction o ka ho asem and so many other things. Me fan say sustainability so ka ho. What to them chena say consistency. And I would say he was there for a long time. And only the account too. Or yes, I didn't so no, not down for no before Jumama. Wouldn't him say, you're wrong for Beko. What to them, Janasi? And to that which we call the system, no. Yeah, democracy now, Shas, or the kind, is it structured to be able to contain the system you are talking about?
Ideally, supposed to, but said we deliberately no. Yamfan can on paper you see say a can, but the reality is it's not part of it, and it's the reason why you see said yes. Every great nation be able who assassinate be no, and no a come out of great ideas. I would be go acquaintment the baseline structure a bit so I'm what pay your mind see hono. So. What designed the structure, which the physical framework, your president, your parliament, your court, the structure is there. But the next question is, how effective is this system in terms of their connectivity just to ensure, say, the ultimate goal, achieve. So if you can't find those things, for instance, say, obiye adia etia or minor, crime ben so na fast or punishing the panel. And what is the objective of that particular punishment? Is it to punish the person because or the other side? And now to establish a certain conventional red lines, to send a loud message to people out there, say, often more minor, consequences are and you will be guided wherever you are. And at that time, you know, and now friend or he be a winning non-compatible because the systems has been done in such a way, say, and give you room for those things. For instance, in America, when you jump red lines, and yet Madam for the minister being my friend, one kasana, it will not even occur to you, you understand? But I said we haven't been intentional about some of these things, you know. Police in no chewa or no slow because you say maybe you are connected to somebody powerful. And now opposition be a war because these systems are not there. And there are things that for us to achieve whatever objective, you know, we must be very deliberate that we see use that particular word in our approach just to ensure say these systems, you know, must work. Because until said these systems, whatever we do, it will be like washing your feet, wash socks.
So making these systems work, you know, and pimping so now it has got to do with say the least human interface. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Human interface, no, a DOS, a yanteswa. For instance, say, Tema port. Okay, say paperless. 100 chance. Nipa binum sha say for so ya say paperless because omunim say omuntimi emfaso enye de also omoye. Apart from say Becca said, ye de ye can say auditors. Yes, from internal auditors. Internal auditors na do ma kwakwatena ho no. I nim say omo no mbe check ama bibia koso no. Nipa no a wo check no ono na ma ni bibi di. The ebema internal auditor na function no. The obe sign sa de no a ebema internal auditor na ye adwuma no. Ono internal audit sa nipa no de be sign. Na one ebema obi tuo ma no de abebo no.
Yeah, you see, and America say sa we a structural problem and causes multiple factors and come into some of these things. because it is argued everywhere, say, in order to so achieve effective government, excessive human discretion and excessive human interface. And so we to remove as early as possible. Because whenever you have individuals exercising those discretion, very often, personal way come in. One favoritism, then as a form a woman. So who design a system now? You design to do away with some of these things. That is why I say this excessive individual discretion, must be substituted for institutional discretion and dictate. So institution, I want the objective, and the institutional objective prescribe what has to be done at any point in time. So when you have these layers of structures in place, for instance, or Bank of Ghana, now you want to take a certain policy direction. At the end of the day, the goal of Bank of Ghana, maybe in the short term, long term, or medium term, and they determine the options that are available. It's not the BOG boss, but that's sort of free in the fear, but say, way. That will be his personal discretion. But when the institution, I want the objective. Now I said this direction, institution and Nankasa want the guidelines. The only thing that the BOG boss and the executive available, no and say. You supervise this particular process just to ensure that we achieve the objective for ADC and so. But make us say, I am mess up. The institutional dictate and the institutional discretion, you are substituting for individual discretion and excessive human interface. And the end of the day, most of the decisions is spearheaded by individuals at the behest of individual, your friends, personal emotions, the personal way, instead of or mind way, And at the end of the day, in the face of these excessive individual discretions, and near man go wrong, or beside say, what is the punishment in the near my a best care will be a man exercise those your friends and discretion. For instance, we live in a country, a political corruption. It's not just about so be about chrono. Even willfully, your friend is saying, so one man or minor lose sika, you can be punished for that. Because you are making allocation, which means even if all exercise discretion, not discretion is deemed unreasonable. Then so more minor lose bibia. You are supposed to. But look at the Auditor General report about one thing. Look at the infractions. Look at the Nema Ekom. Now what's here Tanasia Bisa? I say, me share say more Auditor General report. And you know, so why a morning show I check. Na ya de Nema ni na gubu kakraka na da batu wenim. Book no kan ya wunwie afekra na wunyanwie. No bisa say adentina from Rollins pencil basin there. Yen to me who they need to take corrective measures say. Yen jai makro no si ansana ya the book about one thing.
Do you think we haven't seen that need, or we just don't want to disrupt the status quo? Because enkrofo mukuta sadi no mu den chen ye pushing.
Some of these internal staff who say complain a business for some of the people within. It's an avenue where they make money. Then I say for them. So until say a certain external force we be pushing, there will be internal resistance against some of these things because there is no single department that will gonna hire any internal auditors. Now what we say I don't know what manusi or because whenever you are in a particular place, you become part of the system. And we normalize it and we move on. So that is why until yaba tenasia masanya manasisia we no de begubukum. I know the day what is the punitive consequences are assigned for people who are caught in the web of these financial misappropriation discrepancies are you don't see any effectiveness because Auditor General report about one thing apart from yes I charge you be why no one who say what face jail and say anything. So there is enough incentive for people to do some of these things and get away because it becomes a sort of an institutional norm. Enti see a person of mine move on anymore. Some of these nearman as any activity now you making sure say the system no ankasano will be allowed to work. Individual discretion, personal dictating as a form will even though may be around, but to a certain extent that ain't me affected the larger goal of the country. Trust me. Individuals will always have their way, and any system be individuals ever have their way. That particular objective of a minor and muscle because there is a competing interest. Individuals competing for their personal interest and the state also competing for a particular interest. But I'm saying, nipa no woman say or push the interest of the state. Not they are the same people pushing for their personal interest. You see, say a mind about toba, and it's the reason why we have Africa. Yeah, just say democracy. But look, we have all the tools. Now, I did some interesting research. Now, I catch a man for say So we have countries around the world in terms of human resources. Africa is the richest. In terms of your friend say human resources, we are the richest. In terms of even land size, Africa is 3 times larger than Europe. Now, man for sunlight, we call so what I say, at the end, different. And Europe, UK, for instance, aging of a Ghana and Ghana engine. How a mindset, you understand? So the mindset, you say. They understand, say, for them to achieve whatever BS or more achieve, they need to allow a system to work just to ensure that the system becomes effective and more powerful than individuals. It's the reason why a UK Prime Minister, they're not former minor. And I'm saying institutions they are powerful than or not as an individual, he will see the need to resign. But Ghana, how the Bena what says minister be a resign the bonnet. It does because the person feel powerful and superior to the systems and the institution. So until we begin to elevate these institutions and systems and interface it with a certain punitive sanctions and nipa who said may deal with my consequences in here and my way to the consequences, there will be no intervention if set my bonnet and I say idea I go wrong. And until we do that, trust me. We will move anywhere. And I think
that's like you were saying on Krata.
Yes.
Minim say toda o chase bisa ho say National Planning Development Commission or moye den. Because you see nyama ya tina say ya kan air condition 3.0 me no ma fifeti na achi no. Senka omo as potent as they are supposed to be. Because the shots here from 1979, 1980, 1990, 1992. Meaning na ye tweak from 1997 by 1990 military government in 1980. They need say National Planning Commission ebeba na chire the development planning ebe shemu enom ye ya na o yes o hwe the entire more core values are. And what we are discussing: professionalism, excellence, integrity, honesty, teamwork, hard work. I will say, they shall advise the president on development planning policy and strategy. The commission shall, at the request of the president, and also at the request of the president now request forget Parliament or its own initiative. They study and make strategic analysis of macroeconomic structural reform options. Make proposals for the development of multi-year rolling plans, taking into consideration the resource potential and comparative advantage of the different districts of Ghana. Make proposals for the protection of the natural and physical environment with a view of ensuring the development strategies and programs. Make proposals for ensuring the even development of districts and the Kahunina. Monitor, evaluate, coordinate, and develop policies, programs, and projects. And that takes into all these things we are talking about. Ideally, Article, your friend is saying 86 and 87. Our NDPC anke wasenka NDPC timifye na ayesadim. This is best by a constitution. What's the mention I say? Yeah, what the can no krata so no na kan nina ewo. Why are we not making conscious efforts?
And then I catch about competing interest. You see, political parties are looking at the short-term dividend. Because I have made a categorical promise to the people. So to Obama me free SHS, me ba. These are short-term. Met me I cash political capital out of it. Na met me jinasa ko campaign 10. So the person is not looking at the long-term priorities and objective. Only bimpo, and this all help most often. The campaign promises a political party this, but you know your short-term, your financial interventions. I know the day because I have 4 years. May so that I'll be able to cash out. For instance, who's more yet development, or more yet even you sit down way commissioning now. You can't the election year. That is why all the commissioning. So that tells you the broader agenda. If I take you back to the United States of America, now help come for some of your more politics. They've structured the system in such a way. Say, we are president of the United States of America. who overwhelming power, probably the most powerful person on the planet. But you see, the systems now, the machinery of American economy, running. You don't have much power to control it. And this is why I observe what American president power very often a foreign policy. It's the reason why today Donald Trump, even with that congressional approval, he's fighting Iran. Because they've done it in such a way, in the economy in layers. And very often there is bipartisan resolution on some of these things. Both political under Biden, there was a bipartisan resolution on infrastructure in America and a total overhaul. Over about 400 million.
They're very intentional.
Very intentional because they believe, say, America at some point in time is aging. The structures and as for they need to change. What I say, so the priorities are two. Political party may have nadia, but on mine is very deliberate. Or pursue a particular agenda. But that is not the case.
That is why I brought in National Development Planning Committee.
Yes.
The agenda you mentioned.
Yes.
They are supposed to set that agenda for Ghana.
Yes.
Say agenda 2020, agenda something. You say agenda 30 something. You set agenda no near candy at all. You mention politically near jadi at all. Sa agenda no be cry in Concoto. And Osha and Namoa ye towards sa agenda no so crumpona and also so crown sign a day anyhow. What would they channel? But they do these things because they think that Ghana for saying na yepe. They have sat down and in their mind, no more Trump up at the say and no na Ghana for yepe. So what can Ghana for do?
Who's that?
Because almost the entire omoye now omoye to abawi and no start prepare for the next election. No. Because omunim say yen niaman kiti bi and here we are do the over now yes systemic then overhaul no President Mahama the reset no one who they mention. These are some of the pushbacks. They are found Ghana for saying ye pay no crosses sana ye pay. No ana.
Oh, unse nipa da sani bia unse immediate gratification they will be ape. Wade no ye no wanya ho nsunsanso but you to take nimdifo a odwene kwa akiri dwene konkan na wahu how feasible long term way ebetimi aye na anya lasting impact on our mind no. So for instance, so over the years, some of us have been advocating that the powers are your constitution granted to the president is so excessive and so overwhelming to the extent that Yanshasia Anketelina, Eberuba bin Obedi Yenya, because when your president, I am not say on farm Ranya Juma or mine bebo. So this your planning commission, a constitutional way of creature and a constitutional creation, but it will require a certain deliberate way from the president to execute some of this agenda.
President
exactly.
Requested
so
and parliament requested it is a National Planning Development Commission. Ewa dream be say we never Ghana. Na parliament and requested, na president and requested. So why should that
so you see the framers might have considered a lot of stuff because sometimes financial consideration as for but where the tone your politics over the years are taking up. Abaya so cynical to the stand say kind of
what do you think about your technocrats? Because we see you can't politicians. There be any politicians no. But if we are talking about Ghana systems no and any technocrats na make civil servants no name we friends omo baby omo no. Those are the systems. No? Systems now, yeah, can you add the Sancrophone? And the people who are doing business with our systems, you know, mostly make pay Auditor General's report. These are the people who do business with the cartel. Sa shisha wa omuye di omuye ni nyina no. Sancrophone and a cross omo eye, a doctor, a cross omo T, doctor omo eyes no. What is the it's
true.
Enti, what do you think we can do as a people? Said ye beya, ye de ye bufu be free politicians so they are called system no so.
Yeah, who's a politician or supervisory just to ensure, but said we see Canada actual people on the ground no, this technocrat. But very often they miss the debate. nobody wakes up and talks about technical director BIA or GFA or Bank of Ghana. Always the appointee of the president, because I said the backs stop with you. You understand? So that is why these heads, must also take corrective measures. For instance, there are accountants which are by jumum. Opa ye ne dan afia no onko your friend say leave because otenema so or sorry obi be hu. What I say? So they are normalizes nama, like that is the way we've
normalized a lot of abnormalities,
and there is nothing external a pushy just to reset some of these things. That is why if
there should be something external that will push it, what should it be?
Oh, it should be
what should it be?
Monitoring, evaluation, and making sure that people now at any point
who
in
is
time
going to offer that service, some monitoring and evaluation.
Oh, it's available. Yeah, interfacing within our system. They are supposed to work. For instance, this auditing must be periodic. Occasionally, this report must come up, and internally, whoever that is in charge can also run some of these things just to check whatever that is happening.
So internal auditor head of the department,
yes.
And the best signing in Niama, no be manage to function. Or no bad dance, yes,
that is his job. That I make us you see say I can say the Saudi and no be because
what I'm saying is for that internal auditor to function properly.
Yes.
Obey here
tools and
their friends or the Bayajuma from Nipanoa also or the Tenno. Into no a bad than a Nipana and power no I'm not Tenno.
Oh,
why can't we have Obi from Baby Fufro?
No,
not necessarily the woman.
They have
not the remuneration will not be sorted out by Nipanino.
Remuneration you can very often control it, but you see they also have external auditors, and then very often end up way. But you see the system is such that within some of these individuals, even though you are in the system, but you are supposed to, so all things being equal, so be a juma. I said, more high, muya juma, obi a sports, obi a way. Very often, muya juma, you walk around as a but independently, no be a juma. So, in a normal sense, that is how it's supposed to be, and it's there everywhere in the world, within the FBI in the US, or more kasa investigated by their own FBI people when something goes wrong, somebody can go undercover, and there are also have police forward internal way or monsono or some of these things. That is why when the person I want a conviction or I just obey the right now, this question will not even come in.
Convictions, and your pania they won't nipa.
Yeah, who's that?
Convictions, and your pania they won't nipa. And in your earlier submission, you mentioned says uja nipa be selfish. What did they mention? I say, Anna me no. Minim say me conscience be catch them said me and kwasiasem but no and the mama duanidi. How about that?
Yeah, other consequences be
consequences be no so
and then the mama duanidi not consequences or
so you've hit the nail right on the head. So how do we ensure that there are consequences?
That is why make us say when it comes to some of these things, prosecution, investigation must be swift, immediate, and it must be ongoing at any point in time. Now, your daily accountant to be a Bank of Ghana, your daily accountant to be maybe a port, and why it will send certain shivers down your spine.
Banking
sector clean up. Okay.
We are regulations and regulatory whatever directory.
Yes.
Our Bank of Ghana. Or Juma or Moye, and they say. San Crofono and yet there was it had to take some 25 billion, say 25.5 billion to solve a 9 billion problem.
Yes, so that regulatory laxity is there when institutions begin to fold up and are supposed to be, and externally there is no pressure on them. For instance, it will interest you to know, say, a new mine waker a state-owned enterprises. Oh
yes.
So the last time I spoke to one CEO and his argument was that Ivan we there young creative say young find your profit. Now I said there is no why you creative say young for mocha. So if it is not for profit, then it must not for loss. What I say, all the state-owned enterprises are running at a loss because they are buying the. Because there is no external pressure, because there is a cultural norm, because your boka sana tier. So to anywhere all the state-owned enterprises na sana tier. But besides, I say the same entity in the Tama private sector. Because you will not be running at a loss because you are paying human beings. I understand some of these agencies are very strategic. For instance, Bank of Ghana bet me 1 year. Now catch us boka over 60 billion. How did it happen? Ube kom no na kwabrane timi fa o man ni sika de koto watch. Now my chama who gold watch. Yetimi koto iPhone ni a chama ye home. Yetimi tuya home allowance over millions of when ye. It's highly unreasonable. And these people are using the existing structures to execute this nonsense. You understand? So for me, I think the system is very effective and robust. They liberate various investigative agents. For instance, the concept of this special prosecutor, no, Nejuma say, otiwa like a sniffing dog. Oto unya you move in because that is. The US say, members away executive and answer assembly tour. Whenever I na FBI drufie. Every single document available. Yes, box just to investigate you. You will not even get.
Na conform to nidin. Nya fena and conform ebetu to nidin. Abe friend say it is because of this or that. And conform ebetu to nidin. Umbe hunu say whoever obeba ho say oye jakpao.
Yes.
So yeah, why you back for Ghana?
Yes.
It is not because only will be a problem, and yet will be no only what problem. Nemum said the bear Ghana beats me. I work. They understand it as such.
Oh yes.
So me on. Dear me person me busa passes here. That's some person me share passes here and say. Do you think say baby I was here no? Yenya that opportunity. Say and somewhere ye kan nyina no de ye hunu sesia from 2025 January 7 ebano. Do you think say we have been afforded the opportunity to right these wrongs we are talking about per your observation per what is going on any de no? Do you think say Ghana for ye my ho sa opportunity no they say they be righting wrongs na say ade dada no na old gramophone player na channel. What is it? Pay your observation.
I think so ohe ahom keka Ghana for the koto aba if I'm saying 2024 na menim say o monitor social media. You are very social media person, very active. Now share the anger among people Ghana for as a enema many nipa. People got fed up with the existing system. So Ghana need bien ho koto abase the tradition should continue. Ghana need ya before koto abase system na from Kwame Nkrumah pensi ya sati si ho say the boy ho ban no. Serve a certain narrow parochial interest. The larger interest of Ghana and serve. And over the years, young people have been sitting from a distance. They don't very often get involved in politics. But this time around, you see clearly say obia abete politics as because of the new media and they have started asking questions. So omokoto aba say be ya the existing status quo no ebesesa ama nema akọ. So nti say what da ben na ya to aba krom ha ama aban asesa na a new government aba Mahama ba yi. Amanfo mbonachi because economy is bad. Amanfo mbonachi because maybe dollar no ontimi fama from amanfo ebonachi because nipa omo free so omo ya akromfo esa aban no ejeli omo no ontimi jeli omo. And that is the biggest pressure on the Mahama government today. So that tells you say the consumers of the Ghana politics and almost and tesa first na choboy or suno choboy or webiem, they want you to do the right thing. That alone, that signals alone, tells you say the grounds. So
what should be done to sustain Sadia?
Yeah. So that what should be done is you see, that is what the last time I was telling you is that the Attorney General need to up his game and make sure that investigations will continue because the energy of the people and the government must always be at par. So when Hena say energy drop it now the government will collapse.
But the Attorney General does not need to do press ups to keep up the energy. Oyusu Emra and the dear friend said.
Yes.
What do you think is amiss? If
a modern governance and I evolve to a point at first, and some nipa kakra bi ko wura dem no mo ba omo no but now it is an open book kind of way. So at any point in time you need to keep the people in the whatever that is going. So we had Attorney General now. or attorney general and minister of justice. The dual role and all play. So in as much as on the you be a prosecute nipa modo monsa abo man sikamo odiboneno, the same person has a administrative role. And that administrative role requires engagement.
To keep us posted.
Yes, because so whenever you create a vacuum, people will fill it. And whatever they fill it with, you can control.
When he decided, say, oh yeah, what you're talking about, say, decided, say, oh, keep here posted. And now, sorry, press conferences.
Who is there?
And these same people will also say that you are not working on status or more updating because now me tie Felix Kwachofuso on key point 23. Ana Osha say obobon niema aban we you know nkrofo kan say nine no say chairman want me a freezing account the mobile money account don't mean send don't mean 5 and he started mentioning certain names nipa we ya didn't call so all count him say na or say be American go money mass. I'm just giving information to let people no, say actually things and yama koso. Yes, say the wheel of justice grinds slowly. The destination, no, and it eventually gets to the destination. One of them, it is the Oka said the energy of the Attorney General and the expectation of the people should be at par. One of them, the only way you be hunu and they say Obi be catch and said this is what we are doing.
Yes. And America, so you see, if you understand and appreciate modern governance, some of these things, ain't new to you. But because it's something we are not quite conversant with. The Obati say nipa court, na ye chena basa or court, and non kwana manfo. But governance are evolved to a point. The very moment people begin to withdraw their trust and confidence from the government, and that government is dead. So always and always, you can never keep the people in the loop. So the ACBR, you need to update them. So for instance, Yoko say what this guy for Biho. Ghana for a minor Jomahama Ebuno, Obuma Ghana for. So when are we just kind of free no how much is involved in us for so that it will satisfy the sort of Nema Amanfo, because Amanfo Kotuaba having the impression say a certain criminal cartel took over their country and they stole from the nation. So these people, are they being held to account? If yes, the processes involved, you need to keep them, because you see, Ghana is not a legal environment to say, we must all wait and go to court. There is a political dimension to some of these things. So you need to sustain that trust by communicating through this sort of engagement for people to appreciate happenings.
And you said something, before said, and also see a very imperative. I said, the existing Bank of Ghana there, they are using the existing structure because the only answer to gold watch and it's a practice that the just and the righteous. The just say the me tum rebia, but the righteous won't say a woman send tum rebia and so at your harbor. What's the them? They are being just. What's the damage? And you know the omoya and say, "Sa existing structure." But say they can say some cartel be. Say you can say criminally, your friend is saying, criminally managed economy. Need the can the thing. Ube kumbe no. Na politician no chaka no womni e kakrebi. The structure now, and the people who man the structure no, and no man who quite their course no course. Into one way, you are expecting the Attorney General say, and what do when you see nipa ba could be so say, sa nipa way, I was say ye nini. But the Attorney General so be share niam no more be sure be hunu say who authorized this? Then I will go through. Then and a bank, you timi creative bank account number. Banka yeneneka. Yes, you trace Kadiamano.
Yes. So
I no. Obekom no. Politician no dia oye no. Aye be a supervision or ma oyenhwe ha. Ana oje kakra bi ema nipa bi ana wan pe bibia hwe okosan bibi. Enso so me atwan but real akromfo no that to team.
Oh yes, Ghana had a America. Corruption ye kan. The very people involved, most a civil servant and technocrat or more embedded within the system. And there are people who are familiar with the system. Obi how them 20 years. So they know all the routes I'll bet me use to the no. So these people, no, sometimes it will interest you to know, say, CEO no bar. It is this technocrat who will teach him kind of sika. And the one you be aware strong now, you fall for those things. Then the tradition goes on. What are some American? So
and there is no way about when you scratch.
Yes.
Crumbs no de more. Adriana kasa no.
And I'm winning. I'm committing more. I don't know the day one echo fight Yakobia mania until some of better honey about chemo a blow up because what we are seeking is not to recover, but we want the political capital. And in Nipana, no. Political capital harness. We are targeting you because there is a political capital to harness. So Nipana or technocrat no woman obia more mudin. And now case there are a lot of technocrats or more if prosecutor more. But the media be that because the big fish is the politician or not coming with political capital. That also deals your mindset. What are happening as a foreigner? So I think that these things, you know.
And Javan, what's not say me nano me na me kai President Kufuor by no. Proceed on leave. Prior to retirement. Me trans ya adwen ho no. O hwe na sana na wo say.
Oh yes. You need
because
to...
because you try radio so discuss here can say na ba no ya pam kofo because san krofo no.
Yes.
San krofo no.
It depends. When there is an actual way, there are evidence. You don't even need to ask the person to proceed on it.
In a chain, Auditor General's report.
So some of these things, it's not just about proceeding on leave, especially
Auditor General's report. The afibiano sikano balloon.
Yes, to Auditor General report, what you can do is to set charge. But in terms of the criminal aspect of it, must be prosecuted. Because the only way you can punish OB in this country is when a court of competent jurisdiction says so. So a very complex kind of scenario. But you can ask the person just to proceed on leave pending investigation. You understand? So at the end of the day, if the investigation and they up say a near way and a wire administratively in the way you can lay people off based on some of these things.
I don't know how it works, but Auditor General gather evidence no.
Yes.
That's all the prosecutor now.
Yes.
What rule no? Because we see it's been people have been requesting and sometimes now you mentioned search charge. Must have prosecutorial powers. Because me, I'm gather me evidence. No?
Yes.
And I understand the figures much more than what the Attorney General. What's the General say? If our Attorney General, all the technicalities, no near that sorry, Attorney General, no, all the technicalities, no near that they be no near that they na obehenona. Adeno and nipa na disikani enya idea no. One them channel one to me and fa anya juma yentimi and prove point enough.
No, when the prosecution is ongoing, the technical people who actually went to the ground, very often they call them as witnesses to provide details near my call. Attorney General is the only person that is armed with powers to prosecute some of these things. So when it comes to the technical details as to what actually happened, some of these auditors are very often called upon to provide these technical details.
Must it not be? And I say would it be an overkill? Say an Attorney General. My Auditor General must have a law background. A proper must be a lawyer.
Oh, so some do. It's more of your friend is saying accounting, that kind of numbers, statistics, and then as a form. So what we are, what put to face behind these numbers now by actual figures, then you look for the legal infractions. What I say, that is why the Attorney General will have to go through and review these numbers now and the supposed infraction, as against the law.
I'm imagining an Auditor General or science lawyer, or my briefing at the Attorney General, no more say, and they all agree.
Oh yeah,
that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
they all agree to say, "Come
Yeah. Oh, by even the current arrangement, once you are able to make sense out of the numbers. Now, what me actually say, I don't know, boy, say no, you don't need to be a lawyer to explain that to Attorney General. You understand? And once the Attorney General Nunya and us evaluating who said these are infractions within the context of a law, then they will have to proceed to go to court. But you see, when it comes to some of this legal journey, it takes a long time. And a frustration and as a form, because in a criminal case, you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt to establish criminality against somebody. And yet on the balance of probability, where papa no dos chen bone no ye we no na yafa ye fen saying the papa no ye ja we no. But here you need to prove beyond every reasonable doubt, and the money is very complex.
Is there a way to compress the time by why not? Wabra young kate.
Yeah. We can.
Because we have okay fast track court.
Yeah.
To say NDC opposition because on better tribunals.
Yes.
And I know you have to say omate.
Yeah, cabinet approval.
Approval.
Original way.
So what is happening?
So
say is it in ano me say na amanfo bi no mubusa say is it functional? Now, even former auditor general Domevu was even asking, say, is that functional? Say, because sa vim no de be campaign no, any opepa no de be adwuma no. Na no so alignment no nkoyi.
When setting up a court is an administrative body, you can't just wake up and say mate court. You need to go through processes because obekaya MPP did fast track high court by no. At some point in time, Chachuchi Kata even challenged the legal validity of that particular way, and it was proven say any constitutional or legal backing be grounds be a whole lot. So in setting up some of these things, because it is an administrative process, you need to take time and pay attention to all technical details. Now, what's at this particular court? You see, these pressures are coming because Ghana for pen 10 because of the experiences they've had in the past. But as government, so some of these things, you also need to take your time. Sebeya, wadena woye no, ebeye long lasting. Nen kwa yese, immediate reaction to a certain anger. One yesa, you make a mistake.
And perhaps you would want to understand the fears of the people because I may not babe to say na no the enibi. Okay. You hide behind administrative one. The Obe one say abesin.
Oh, at this point, I think the president understands the urgency of the situation because the last leg, Ghana, a democracy, so a district Muhammad administration. You see, and like for the time, but because we were getting to election time, people say, okay, let's
see what
happened. So this particular way, a test. This government is a test too. No. The government has no other option. Failure cannot be part of this Muhammad administration. And I think that the president, he's aware. So you need to navigate these particular circumstances very carefully. Say, the energy and the anger of the people and go overboard because now I don't know me catch you because South Sudan I say rebels say some of the rebels no be a medical doctor, be a professor or chradie, or be a outside a degree or muram ekura etuo so a rebel. You ufri said damn na wabo. Yes, ufri said damn na wabo board damn. But system be a failing no. We lose trust in a certain system. We lose confidence. And now here around the year, unfortunately for us, Burkina Faso, there is coup. Niger, coup. Togo, Nina, Sephonum, Achaya, Weshia. And Ghana is not above some of these narrative among for right around us. So I think the president understands and appreciates all these things. And within this particular fold, and they say, guided near the year near my yes you're prosecuting young prosecuting and for me I think say near my can post action we near a whole consequences and actions na can you we must also be very deliberate na making sure say education must also turn a different turn. For instance, I have always advocated say baby ya build a generation be a yes, we can use caution, punishment, and for to tame, to control them. But the new ones coming, we need to change the narrative and change the model. For instance, Ghana, your mind back one, I never quite pay attention to a school at the early stages. By how are the model building nipa? Meaning growing up, what's it? Yes, nature argument. That kind of debate, it's a never-ending argument. But I can sit here and confidently tell you, say, what mold nipa? The senior namasasi we so nature our control, but it's in our genes and limited. But nature and a determine and the person future a bit to me a sink in line with prosperity.
To the impressionable age, no. Exactly. You nurture the people at the impressionable age. About the pedagogy of addiction.
But go to your friends your early stages, Nipa no be our cultural exams when your maths when your English, the frustration. I had a cracketwa, a fena on it be the social orientation, cultural orientation, even political everything. Yeah, the question is how frustrated person and an old training. Oko America.
Now to the man America, Finland, a friend is saying, Norway, monum. Would you know one abe who say at SAP?
Yeah, there are some if you don't have PhD, you can't teach them. Yes, and you see.
Oh no, nurturing no.
Very critical. Because Akrane hono picky adibia, and what people don't know says nipa be ye criminal. I was say we so it's through nature. There is this survey available. One day I will share with you. If you go to America, they sat down and who's America over about 1.2 million people are facing prison. Our more either the person is on parole, either wakwaba fe no corner na se for no. No more trans a day na ye koso e ma amanfo engage in sa na man. Ubekom no. Na enkra at the early stage omo no omo maame antena yed ne call what you called is it children's home or some of the
omo friend
social system no mkoko shem no because akra no call at that early stage na nipa na nya ne ba they treat them as candidate and they dey friend affection onibi morality yes sometimes there be omo call dining na se for cry the survivor of the fittest so akra no that is the environment all who are guiding no so for them
he was not nurtured.
Everything be obenya assassins he has to fight for it. And or the pia bontia na ukra de no nibia he will have to fight for it. So these things na who know started. There
are some things that be a ultimate share no on public platforms.
Yeah.
Be an deliberate for certain group of people.
Yeah, I understand those. Yes, I understand that race nuances.
The concentration alcohol. Now, onyes car instead so the investment. Papa, not they are touching, and not they are too fast car be, and I want them to know the.
Yeah, so but I'm just saying this just to give you a statistic. Say, see, a person here deliberate. Now you nurture the next generation of young people to be who we want them to be. It must be deliberate, it must be intentional. Now you retool education, not also no and serve the job market available.
This thing you are talking about, do you see any action or anything that is being done now? Yeah, I address what you're talking about.
Oh, I don't see any deliberate attempt. I think I don't know.
Who should one also taking it up?
No, I think you see that is why people have always been advocating for some thinking shop, engage young people, solicit ideas, because you see, policy any serious country be the policy policy plug from a vacuum. Policy, the problems are identified and who weave into the building blocks of whatever policy that you come up with. So you study a problem, you tease out the various solutions in as a form. So problem now was steady, and I would weave a policy intervention to address the same challenge. But as I'm American, say if the people don't see it as a problem, people don't even see across the nature or any
people. You are talking about the leadership.
Yeah, the leader. At the leadership, that must be a priority. Or mine, for instance, education.
Is it in their interest? Those people. If we are very frank with ourselves, is it in their interest? Say nipana ni bebiana.
And this is another thing. You see, it's not just about that. Curriculum, you design the West and the one who talk we interest group. So people are not looking at the local context. What our needs are. They here. Now you fan design yang kasa ya curriculum. Recently me say as a religious and moral education ya free school system actually abanas for. But these are critical thing the moral fiber of a Ghanaian, you betimi shape na ya nkra no. Wona want na o share panyi okura bag ya. But these are near Ghana in our society and where we want to be, is part of our system.
And my standing out.
Exactly. Society. But certain interest, it doesn't serve it. So it means that you're no system like a designer, a pet. So we are just wondering.
This thing, what I say? This thinkers, they think because sometimes I don't know if I have to pay attention because by virtue of what I do, may I pay attention to a lot of things, and there may be nyankopon nankasa nim say we are interested in side and no watch wadwen akosi a particular ade bi so na o sori na wani edi akiri sa nkrofo no anka wo say omo de problems no omo kire kwan e be fa so be weave no into blocks are a bit to me addressing your challenges. No, some of them, binum to say, omunimu kasa, epe adeshe ete se wono. Ubehwe no, na wati NGO. Oti NGO no wano ubeda na se bia wa ye se wo ma form think tank bi. Civil society organization bi. Obi a person odi bibi wura ye society no hu wano a den no approach you.
Yes.
No or mausika. Then you do the person says
burden, yeah.
What they make channel. Which says so and no nebe kankan.
Yeah.
And two who say you raise an argument. Unim say no pa nebe professor solution to the friend is no. But you got somebody or no dream pe. The counter argument be and no never cover.
Yes, and you see that is a
what have you made that observation?
That is a very good point. But you see, state, and what the overwhelming power overriding any other interest. So as some American, if the state, our interest woman, and I'm saying our a certain overriding power until a back any other interest will be from the periphery, and it will not knock me off my feet because state, we say as we are man way can. America, some of the defense contractors, then they will recruit you and give you say a defense contractor. Apart from us, you don't engage anybody because the state need your services. Continue to do this thing for us. We will pay you and we will provide you the services to do this. So the state must be very deliberate and intentional. But first of all, I say who they will pay. Now say who name they will pay. Because they who they open and a determine your objective. Objective be spell out what you need to do. And it's a who say training a problem. Now if you say where they biara may come up into daycare me back school be why natural bana then win him as to whether said the person is even educated or educated why then won't the intention is all control the banana to actually baby no that quite adwuma so the person will grow and feed into the same mindset na ye womi or mind no nya da aja babo no kro no na kwa me nkroma kra nya ne ye wo na be ne ye you see that kind of mindset and ye nnamu no obre but I heard the vast resources available to us ye tenase ne say ye nema ya trust me obien hu an ho be no mind we
me say Dr. Boyson David King Boyson or AI consultant or my survey be or the AI your friend or say there were more than 15 million decent legitimate jobs. Ghana has more than 15 a kind of job and I say jobs that can also and also employment. What's the
sustainable?
Sustainable. Not just jobs are for individuals. Jobs that can create job opportunities, employment opportunity, creating job opportunities for people.
And
you mentioned, I can't say, your human capital, human resource, natural resource. And the money
say and all the young people are going. Now, me check it. Oko Germany, our median age is around 49, which means that this is 45. Aging society, and there's Germany
more than one crown. Reward.
Yes, so you see, but Yahano, Oko Nigeria, birth rate over 6.1, 7.1, the highest in the whole world. But go there and see poverty.
China. Yes. Because ohunu ni padodo no say no and a bit me abuan economy nti yenko production na nipa no ankasa ebeje na afia dia ye bibi no madane no.
So if you pay attention to some of these staggering numbers and statistics and all bisa won say e dey na me so betumi dia ye ko China hu say number no do so amanfo esere no and hu say me numbers we dey na metumi dia ye they turn China into your friends economic hub production obia na we ya na say China ni ba kokora tobia say esika what I say. So that is how I betimi aye turn things around.
Yeah, so you tell her detected na your friend they share family planning.
And the last time Ghana make Ghana for mu to kwan ko UK say nursing do na anya adwuma hospital. Do you know what they do? Nursing home, care home,
agencies.
And there are a lot of Accra, for instance, Accra is an urban area. There are a lot of America Ford we almost said them more or more baby and they have children who are willing to pay. Sir, your friend say care home. Government can construct about 4 or 5 big centers in Accra. You have people paying for it. For instance, Okwa Abrochira, Obi Kotena ho. No, pay people make that contribution. And to call retirement na or if you know no kwan to pay rent. No we to akwatena ho. Kopim so obi there are young people who will be willing to work in some of these centers aside hospitals, But and yet say the thing is what shall see a drain. Can't you create these kind of things? Individuals create care home. Ghana and team create care home because there are nurses or more category, and yet to work at the hospital. What job can we also give to these people? I know there are people willing to work.
Not that sometimes with Nancy and I'm dreaming only another natural resource and I'm on the my Africa. Into me, find solve a problem. Into me, problems. When you say investors, no more bahano. They who say problems, no more opportunities.
Yes.
Well, on them channel. Into problems, into Obi to say Japan. Etnas no who say baller a Ghana problem, and he became a millionaire out of that. What's them channels? How many of us? And I said to say or minor. How many times? And how quite ben so na yet me atnas ya dream who say to say the China atnas car say mahunu me how. Na me may say no crano be at 20 next 10 years. Me created 20 millionaires. Me more hoarding. Minim says uncle for no. Be a member 20 millionaires now so creating no. Ebi or investing in about 200 people. But on him say be at 10% pe. And obet me anya. One paba. By there na kwa intervention be a stop gap. Ye wie na sa manfo ball mun sema ya na ekọ na ye jane sa na ye tete o dem chen kwan ben na e wo se yetimi encourage ye ho ana se yetimi pressure ban ana lead duty bearers e mo turn ye problems bebrebe no into opportunities.
Yes, I think say see that we see no it's about the which priority and that's about pursue and I think say there must be a radical shift from this short-term, your friend is saying, political dividend are very often, you perceive what in your frame. Now, you're beginning to think long-term. Or mind be a why you was as you started with long-term goals.
Yes.
Because no short-term goal in a building of mind.
And there were templates, almost they said templates. What is that, Oman Penny? No, can't say I was very excited. I said, Obe making sure, say, a bad thing, ama obi obeba be dinner de bia say obesesa niema odi be go akwam no what them say but o can say asem no me the eba me trim ni say there must be, and if this word has not been overused this afternoon, a certain intentionality say obema amanfo no omo pe bibi hunu no ebe ya aligned. That's our template, You be born by. So that if you come, and I don't know if it must be Emrana or say should be a NDPC I can't want to me. You be man some mandate me as Sunday na you be making sure say it will be more difficult for you not to do than tell obey.
Yeah, it's true. It's true because and I think say I like it when John Mahama started up by a kwanya. Even President Akufo-Addo pencil mo sha ase nyina no nka first na nka very often ye be jam na guo example sagleme okokumase asa 39 or 37 hospital yaka nwuram ne nasefo ne min aka to say sa sika we nyina your man sika. So why would anybody come when we say governance is a continuum na the kwabra ne be kasa nya me na me ye nti maja gu and say you see that pressure must emanate from we the people na yan kan say chale o man no nya osika o eye yan kasa ye sika ade na wo ye it will benefit the people. Enti whether say a several political interest or not, because it's for us, you need to do it. Aside the legal, your friend saying framework, for your weave protected this infrastructure, there must be this internal way from the people making sure say these things are done. Now you're making sure say teams, or minus that long-term objective. feasible across the political divide no you better say in the next 10 years no this is the plan and that engagement must also consider other political parties as well, because this is a long-term objective. Within 20 years, one political party cannot be in power for 20 years. So when you are deliberating on some of these things, such engagement, you need to get involved other people. I'm not just talking about politicians, but technocrats, other people, and those are the likelihood that Nipana can also be at the helm of affairs, because elsewhere it happens.
Should be used to involve other political elements.
I think platforms that no, not
because
parliament.
Because when say the time maybe say parliament say there is idea bi ana your fan say a toda amount for force and kayensi no cry. The number of people are aban bi aba oyi omo as ministers ne pa kon oyi omo free constitutionally more than 50% of. And I don't know if it is a convention.
From parliament.
Is it a constitutional?
Yeah,
it's a convention.
Provision.
Okay, so let's just say political party biano. Then crop for you bet me use omo any omo adwin akoben krumu abua Ghana no omo parliament. I mean a friend saying you say your fan said the intia be the adwin behind the intia ye ministers no for every parliament. So no near they can. These are the people constituencies, Akachre by omu vote. Actually say these are the people who want to represent us. And the MPP for omo pese omo represent omo and omo members of parliament. And to be a yenyusu yen committees parliament, and find yes idea we say if we agree. What am I saying? Say this is because we are leader of government business. We are minister of government business. Need a majority leader. Yantinasi ni anya adwin say. Adie we ni aya adwin say. Enfie du ye pese ye. Enti say ye sha say ni ye na even table no ten ne kra no a. E ade a ya boss apo no parliament that nti ye nto aso.
I think sir, you see see how Ghana democracy is the weakest link Ghana your parliament is the weakest link, because ideally that is how it's supposed to be, representation of the people. But over the years, parliament has become an extension of political party offices. People go there to argue partisan interests, not the audio of my BCE. And I'm sure so I follow parliamentary debate. Sometimes you watch TV and you become so disappointed. You understand? So the mindset na nkasa man for the house and your mindset to progress or mine, but it's to progress political party, political interest.
A whip system.
Exactly. You bet me so you benya power. There are power and bet me control. What I say. So when it comes to some of these development,
why is and sorry for because we have a very important point, but we Mamisa and we have not me refer. Why is the partisan interest different from the interest of the people?
Yes, sir.
Why shouldn't, because the party a percent or budget power no what will help the people. Yes. And think my interest, even if it is partisan, must be an interest. About what the people. So why are they not aligned? The partisan interest and the interest of the people. Do you get my question?
I get it. You see, very often most of the partisan interests, yes, they are also aligned with the interest of the people. For instance, because make creating new mama, make creating new mama, a new man, Ghana, you man on Baba. But the objective, and a problem. The objective, very often, and I'm saying the objective is to win the next election. Everything must be done within a certain frame. You better me use the next campaign. And my catcher says, "I need some build your mind to build a nation like ours." You hear heap of web transformer. You need to put all the necessary structures in place. Most of it a long term. So that long term decision I bind the big 10 years time the super no. Why not? Why don't they campaign?
So me say the partisan interest of NDC by way of said you see to aba in 2024 no. it is more or less the interest of the people, because that is what we endorse.
Yeah.
The interest of the people, no, more largely the aban we person, no, the interest of the people.
Yes.
What would they mention? No, and to say sadia, na say to say the okan earlier no, ya bato no ekoto no 2024 no, ya to ya because ni enya happy about what is happening. Na say aban we demonstrate, na yetimi hunu say. Ye bet me the want to abide no so. What did they mention? I say, no demonstrating ye, who say the entire to abamo, no more yen into interest near interest. Some people should get punished for not aligning with that interest.
Oh, was it punishment?
Do you see? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because and I make I say, and the your friend is saying, the watchword yes, if they are you say almost demonstrate say
you'll do the right
indeed
thing.
What they promised us. Yeah, that is what they are doing. Na say obi foforo bia ka say nya no no what say ya. I was say hunu sa nipa no say we traitor.
Yes, sir. That is why you need.
But if you don't do it, not say there or no opposition no can also make it sense. Nasa unso so oh ya apaka ewo unyama uyemu a you should also be punished.
Yes,
do you get what I'm saying?
So when the people a certain understanding about what they need.
Now it looks like the people have understanding of what they need.
Yes.
Because of how we voted.
Yes. So
it looks like a large number of the people have the understanding. We really know what we want. Until now, most of the time, a political class, we have to be careful because
oh yes, and I make say young people today, are largely very enlightened. They understand and they can differentiate deception from what the reality is.
Absolutely.
And first, what me can say, who be by no, Sunday manasasa. Onim their interest and onim their partisan interest. And as long as a government decide to do the right thing, so even if the other people decide they will do propaganda, that propaganda will not fly because now the people have come to understand, they know the objective or more epe and they've realized a senke is in line.
Yeah.
So very often you see say abaying best at DB. There will be a pushback from other side. Instead of the people to be angry with the government, they will rather be angry with those pushing from the other side. What I say? Actually, say, you better do a stage. People actually know what they want. So we a government now, you commit to doing the right thing. You might not even need time to explain to the people because once you are doing, they see that the same way over your offer. They can
the
see
people will then go and back the minority to bring you back on track.
Or you go on social media, say Adibi Kosona people think that it's not right. You see, as if say Yakobo Dawudo, there will be this your friends immediate invocation Obia also, and when it is right, the people. So we a government you need to read in between these lines and appreciate the current reality. Say, ye ni 1990 BM, and ye ni. Your friends say 2000 BMA. Yet the car and as a for church and say because of the new media, people understand they hear the uncle school that cry and obey me lecture on what governance is. You understand? So and it's so easy today to do comparative analysis. Or tana how unim the cost to America, unim the cost to UK, ninu be whole year juma, unim the onya. So when they begin to ask these critical questions and amoke kanin in album and sisiswa, then they know say something is wrong and that thing must be fixed. You understand? So I think say Sanyama way be shaping ye, but the ultimate way now, a best speedy transformation, will come from great ideas. I be go a long-term plans. Say in the next 10 years, we want to go industrial. So every region Biano will have about 7 or 4 factories based on feasibility studies. Who say this raw material available over the years. Ya talk cocoa. Ya said in ship was that come up. yentumi mfa nya ade bia ono so nim se wanto a yentumi mfa nya hwe nti enye ye na ye de prices to so ono mo na beka yo beto no ba ya tena se ahu se cocoa no de ye to no ya the 400,000 metric tons ya ade we na ya ship in a finished good. You know say you create employment at the end of the day no you also get value from what you are selling. You understand?
2 things I want us to look at.
Okay.
One, from the organizers here. As a president in Kasa by 2030, that's about 4 years from and I was a BBA, a good year to know, or my mubiano. I was a yetimi, a sankamu, and sana, a diaquaman on it. What's them channels? Or one timeline, one target. So we should be monitoring. Say, say, Sadia noa or Kayano. Yehuna na mombia O2 at the Fahuana. Rather than pitching NPP and NDC, no. I was say you use Sadia no. Na I was say ye timi monitor. Ye teta president, I mean government, no say. Sasamu Aukan, no one among na most of the questions I'm say, do we see so that even if Sobia Junior say or to tum the J in Sambokaka, Oba say Sasamu Aukan, no. Yehunu said that is the way to go. Until you bed in a chi na ya bonichidom amanaya. And another thing.
Okay.
Another thing. They determine the thinking of the people. Largely the discussions are also on the new media. What did them say? Or more power no. And so enim sadi ya yekan. So over here army ya share that training certain people. So because when the shaping the thinking and on the man determine the thinking of the people, no. We are also training crofobia. Sex and crofono. And quiet side and then dominate. And got that algorithm, no. And my man forging yom, and yet said there. This is what the people think. That must also be watched. Don't you think so?
Oh yes. So first one, what the president factories, your friends say, you be add value, no. Idea about Kuma, and on over the years we've been calling for.
Yeah.
So idea na what to know how or add value to it, and will create employment opportunity.
Yeah.
And adding value will also increase the price. So the whole cotton, you see clearly say and. Adding value, but see me as under near baby. For instance, gold board, so I started jewelry, and as for also more tombing and as for adding value. Price now what the better no higher than say I will turn a raw way, no. So maximize it or profit and as for. So if that is the objective, you see any so as a mine. That is why apart from the state working towards it, there must be critical watchdogs like the media. Occasionally, whenever you get opportunity, you question the president. I said, "We now can ye, and he found a do." Now, acquire that as a president, so yeah, he will be able to furnish you with details as to where we are and what the plans are. Now, you because in modern governance, no, and ya one way traffic, a two-way. President the citizenry through the various watchdog because it is your job to amplify the concerns of the people. By the virtue so we are within the media, it is your job to come and amplify these concerns. So whenever you liaise with government, be able to checkmate the government about way a sign but very often you be a quenya to my central for some maybe president asema. President Atadi or Sena attention and as a forum. Ye be some question. President now begin a honor Basso. Now Basobon or Pa party. So you see, we need to appreciate these things that we are also part of the governance. We na no and you'll be business. A business. And even those outside the frame of government, the critical voice, I bet me shape. We are the sentinels. Destined to protect this infrastructure of democracy and liberty. See, always, these people must be there. And when it comes to propaganda, and with this propaganda on social media, man for trying. You see, some of these political propaganda over the years and and even if you go outside, it is always there.
Yeah.
But my catcher said the best way to distill it is to arm the people with what the actual information is. there be last minute school for be share and I mean or more engaging and make sure almost say whenever you are in charge of something, that's a will leave you a vacuum. That vacuum will be filled with something. It could be cynicism, it could be propaganda, and you cannot blame people filling it because you created a vacuum. Yeah. For instance, Kwaku also is a popular person in Accra. What's with the Facebook account? So somebody will go and use your name to create a Facebook account or the Buaman for because you have created what? A vacuum. But yeah, that's how original one will be is verified. People will be able to differentiate yours from the fake ones. What I say. So in governance, you don't create a vacuum. That is why there must be constant engagement to educate the people.
I think this brings me to ask you whether I don't know. Yesterday something swept me off my feet and. Longman say enra government president ne secretary no ne krata no trend. I don't know if you have seen that write up. Callistus Mama ne write up explaining the ways, and I don't know if it's yesterday.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I copiously referred to it and made some statements. You know, I got some flags being there, but I know it's allowed. Ne the kaka say he made me feel. What who dem channel? I say said you see structure and assembly. Say the people are talking about it because they need information. Sankrofo no. Umfa omo say sebi. Omo didi amen omo kaka nsem hunu. Enti no information na wo no sometimes no to the extent say or deeper to give us just a better view of discussions that go on backroom and sign a presidential travels nowadays. And sometimes some things that the president says whenever they are talking about things like that. Maybe I trim or no in his write up no kind. You can let it slide. But he felt that the people are talking about it because they need some information from it, the clarity. So me the mama me say I said why adebia
Yeah. And that is what governance is supposed to be. You see, he's shown maturity. He spoke with a tone amenable to the concerns of the people, and he also interface the concerns of Ghana for Eka, one brushing aside, and he appreciates it's genuine because yet your mind all things being equal. I was saying, come on, you know, a jet. I don't know so we do coin, and non confirm myself could you be jet, and I saw could you be. But you see, there is a certain immediate problem. That problem, they say. The armed force at the official report about since the current Falcon not ready, and that is on record. And no security person will allow a president to board your friends a jet. I flagging say and you're ready. Ebasa is a suicide mission. I wouldn't call. Then that leaves out fewer options. The option is that you bet me a Toby. That is an option we have. You bet me a fly commercial. You bet me and this other option are available. But people need to also understand that President Day to he goes with a team.
Yeah.
Sometimes huge, sometimes small. And these people no being who fly free. You have to pay for everything. It's a runway, take it in as a forum. And the interim, the word is in the interim, there is an availability which you can fuel and use for free. For me, considering where we are coming from and the cost over the years, over the years, and the fact is that the main agenda of the bar is to reset. That is to be disciplined in terms of spending on minor resources. People may have concerns using the brother in a way, but that against the cost justification. When you do the mathematics, definitely within that context, you can justify it. And there are people who argue, say, okay, sign. Your friend saying an appointee is a Mobian Kwaje gift. I brought 20,000 Ghana citizens as a forum. This particular thing and your gift to an individual. it's a gift to the state because President to the private way no to the state. So the jet is a gift to the state, not to the president as an individual. And then the potential conflict of interest can also be argued as to whether because of this there has been any undue privileges that has been extended to his brother because wakwaje the jet. What I say? But you see, these are the new political sentiments are likely to evolve for discussion. And some of these things are not sure how we are mature in our democracy. We can subject everything to critical scrutiny. So then bring back to the questions at this point in time now. Do we have the capacity to go for a jet? Can we buy? Is it a necessity? Should the president continue to fly a private one? And answer or on your way?
And again, it is also about certain things.
Yeah.
Because
yes. Sometimes you need to see clarity and better information about some of these things.
Because you see, before NDC won power, there are certain people kind of saying. Look, Foreign Affairs Minister Kahon, Deputy Defense Minister Kahon, the things they said about the same a friend is saying jet now saying airworthy, you know.
Yes.
The things they said about your friend saying the same jet now saying airworthy, you know. I
think that's not about the fact of being aware. I know that is that people worry about the money that was into getting up. They meeting at IMF, yeah, bank close with them. Ghana country sub to the debt. So that's in the cry and not far because my time. Who time on to the 2 coins? No way they were unfair. It wasn't because
also said sad in a not airworthy, Anna.
President Mahama, I think you seen a couple of times until I think they developed technical way, no what they call France. So France repaired that